23. Intermittent voice loss.
Edison Carter to network 23. Come on, clear this link.
Network 23 to Edison Carter. Okay, we have the link strong and clear. Your show goes live in 2 minutes. Your controller is Gorister.
Thank you, 23. Hello, Gorister.
Gorister here, Edison. Right, now you're above the incident. Descend and I'll guide you once clear of the chopper. By the way, you've got competition. There's quite a scene down there.
How long before I'm on air?
You've got 30 seconds. We'll make it.
And we're here. We made it finally. Oh man, we got a show for you, man. I'll tell you, part 2. I mean, we got into the just the bare bones of this, man. And we're joined now. We're having a bit of technical problems. The problem with live show. So we're hoping that Nick will reconnect. But we've got a guy that's been researching this phenomena for the past 20 years. And he was in the chat. And if you guys were there, I said, dude, please come up and join us. So he's here now. So let's give it up for Paul. There you are.
Good evening.
How you doing? Something's gone on with Nick, so we're just gonna wait for him to come. Mm-hmm. He was here, but now he's gone. He had second thoughts. He said, "You know what? I ain't hanging around here, man." So, hello everyone. So, do you want to tell everybody about yourself? While I'll just say hello to you guys. I'm catching who I can.
Yeah, I'm Paul. I'm 50 years old. I'm from the Netherlands. I lived in Germany more than 15 years. Yeah, in 2004, for the first time, I came across the phenomena where we're talking about today. It was in a book called Secret Societies of the 20th Century, German book, which is forbidden in Germany. And yeah, there was mentioned these sources were mentioned. I always was interested in UFOs. Yeah.
And
what was the start of a...
Sorry. Go on. Sorry.
And it was the start of how do you call it? A journey that was really crazy. And it got crazier and crazier that no one believed it. So yeah, we're waiting for
Nick was here. He was in the back with us, and then when we press the live button, this is so we are waiting for Nick. He is here. I know it's they're saying that you might Paul, you might have to talk up a little bit because they're saying they're having trouble. They're having trouble.
I haven't got the best mic, so we do the best.
Yeah. Because Paul was saying to us that there's a lot of things that have been lost in translation from so he's here to give kind of his research in it. So you said you've been doing this for 20 years.
Yes. It started off with this book, and then I started to research his sources, because if you someone can say something, but where's the evidence? So he referred to several documentaries. They were hard to get. I got them, and from there I started searching in newspaper archives, stuff like that. I joined the German forum, what was about this topic. It was called the Neuschwabenland Forum. Doesn't exist anymore. You just couldn't get entry. You got a list with questions, very difficult questions also. In the end I got in, and there was a lot of information exchange. I found by other means, I found also other evidence that supports it.
Okay.
And
Is your laptop a bit better with the volume because it keeps on going in and out as well?
oh, okay. Yeah,
Do
we can
you
try.
want
I can
Do you
try
want to
to
try?
unplug.
Because Nick is here, so then I can get Nick on, and then if you want to try and reconnect, brother, we want you on here, man, because this guy was telling us some stuff backstage about certain mountains that mess with the perception of time, and it was really interesting. And I'd like you guys to hear that as well. So I'm going to bring up Nick. Yay, Nick. He's back. See, he didn't
Mate.
go to another show. He's here.
Oh, dude, seriously, man. My laptop literally went absolute kaput like afterwards. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm back now anyway.
Apologize, man. Apologize.
One moment. Is my audio better now?
Yeah, that sounds. Say
Okay.
more. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. Keep it
All
that
right.
way.
Now, somebody wrote to me on Twitter and said, Mr. Underbelly, stop interrupting your guests because they got something to say and it's being annoying. And so the thing is, I'll explain that because sometimes my train of thoughts go. So when they say something that I really want to try and figure out or take a little bit further, I do interrupt. And I know it's a bad thing and I'm sorry, but unless I'm busting jokes as well. So, okay, Nick.
Yes, brother. Right. Do you want to continue from yesterday?
Was
Or
it
the
yesterday?
other day?
I
Was it
was thinking
yesterday?
about,
No, it wasn't. It was the other day. Oh my god!
went in that
no,
cave.
honestly, Paul.
We've been in that cave, haven't we?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's been a hell of a party. But Paul, thanks for coming on, man. We're gonna have an interesting conversation. This is absolutely fantastic. So I want to lead off what I talked about last time. So let's just bring up my presentation. Actually, where is my presentation now? 2 seconds. So yeah, we're going to talk about the Haunabu, the drill, because I was speaking to Paul because he's probably going to know a lot more than I do because he's based in Germany. And what was I explaining to Paul is that there's different stories that come from different countries. So England will have their own story, Germany will have their own story, and Brazil will have their own story. And it'd be good to get different perceptions because when I bought the book in regards of the turbine-driven aircraft, which are actually based in Italy, I found new information that I've never heard of. Now, one thing that's really trickled in my mind, and I've gone back and forth with, is this. I'm going to bring it up because this just... I want to find more information on it. Let's bring this up. And we all know this photograph. If we've looked into Nazi flying saucers, I said the N-word again. Damn it, Hidden.
I missed the censor. So I'm sorry. There you go. YouTube, let us have the blind. Let us have the blind. Oh, there it is. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Could you bring that photo up? Yeah, this.
Yeah.
The Haunabu. Thank you, mate. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, this is literally tracking down where does the information come from? Where does the blueprints come from? Where does the photographs come from? And this is where I go. There's 2 different ways for it. But Paul, I want you to lead off from where you think or your information in regards to where this flying saucer documentation and photographs come from.
Yeah, we were speaking earlier. I was referring to that documentary, UFO, The Third Reich Strikes Back. German title is UFO, Das Dritte Reich schlägt zurück. And this picture is one of them that is shown in that documentary. And there are other pictures that you probably haven't seen yet of this model, of this ship. So,
is there a picture? Is there a picture, Paul, of the Haunabu with people surrounding it at all?
As far as I know, no. There are good fakes. There's one picture that is, it's a Photoshop from the box of a model. There was a model you could build yourself. There was a picture on the kit, and that picture still goes round, and it's been altered, and it looks sometimes it looks real, but it is, it's a drawing. So, but I believe these pictures, one from this series, from this one you show, I think they are real.
Okay.
So,
Okay. If I
So
bring
you don't.
if I bring up another photograph, this one, because let's bring this up.
So
Because
you
this
don't
one
think
is
the
quite detailed.
you don't think the picture that
in
I
terms
use for my
of-
thumbnail is real?
Close enough, mate. Close enough.
I'm gonna get
Bring this
told
one up,
off.
please, man.
So, sorry, brother. He's going to tell me off. He's going to say, listen, idiot, you're not listening to me. I told you, stop interrupting with your foolishness. Oh, yeah.
What do you think about this
I
one,
like
Paul?
this one.
from the same, it's there is also a series of this shown in the documentary, and I tend to think they are real. The drawings shown in the same documentary, they look very authentic. You showed last time some drawings of the Honeyboo, those drawings. They have copies. You see there are work condition. So the most drawings you find on the net are redrawn from those originals.
Yeah, this is it. Because I don't know if you're aware of this book, UFO's Secret Weapon, which is an old 70s book that talks about like the
I've
Shriever
heard
and
of it.
Hubbarmore flying discs.
I didn't read it.
It doesn't. What's that?
I've heard about it, but I haven't read it yet.
This is what's interesting, Paul. This book came out in 1974, but it doesn't mention anything about how to be flying saucers. It mentions about the Shriever and Hubbarmore, so flying discs, the turbine drift flying aircraft. But in regards of where's the original source, this is where it boggles my mind, really, because I truly want to believe in anti-gravity flying saucers that the Germans developed, but it's pinpointing the original source. Now, before we went live, we were talking about there was a secret society in Vienna that was based upon. Was it based upon the Tula Gesellschaft, the Tula Society?
That's something I haven't found out yet. Okay.
Because this organization is so difficult to find any information on it in terms of what their practices were. I would love to see the original photographs, the original blueprints. That would immediately go, yes, okay, there's something to actually go by. But also my skeptic mind sort of goes, okay, this might sound a bit outlandish, but the conspiracy side of me goes, oh, I really want to believe it. So in terms of, so if you go back to the question, where do you think these documents or photographs come from? What's the date you think it came from?
I know this documentary is from around 89, 1990. So that's what I think is this documentary was produced, and some say it was produced by Freemasons. But it was.
Is that German Freemasons?
They say, I've read people say it was produced by the Freemasons and for internal use only, and somehow
internal circle.
So that's what I've heard too. So
okay. Paul, have you heard of a guy? I think it's Czech Republic guy. His name's Vladimir Tyzinski. He used to hit up the conferences, UFO conferences back in the early 90s, talking about German flying saucers. Have you ever heard of him before? Vladimir Tyzinski?
No, I haven't.
Check him out. He's essentially like us, but back in the 90s. He's researched into the Honeyboo Vril, like the whole German UFO conspiracy. It's quite fascinating. He's completely gone off the. No one knows where he is, basically. But he mentioned about UFOs. UFOs Strikes Back. What you were talking about, the documentary. Hidden. Can I just play a clip? What I think might be that documentary.
Yeah.
I'm just.
You can do whatever you like, mate.
Sound, man. All right. What I'm going to do is it's probably about 6 minutes long. This is going to be talking about the How Naboo and Vril. Bear in mind the music in this is absolutely terrible, and I mean,
Oh no!
do you see what you see what I mean?
Is
No, honestly,
it in English
What's
or
that?
in German? Is it in English or is it in German?
Is
The
it in
video-
English or German? The video. Are we losing you, Nick?
sorry, 2 seconds, mate. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is it an English
now?
video or German?
This is actually English. Is dubbed over with English. I'll bring it up for you now. Sorry if I'm sketching out.
What's
2 seconds.
Oh yeah.
I'll bring.
I already know what you're gonna show.
It's the aliens that are messing with us. No, we're supposed to be being hit by massive CM.
All right, let's.
CME,
Laptop
so
away.
that might be affecting it as well. Let's blame it on the sun, the black sun.
What's that? UFOs, flying saucers. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So guys, if you're in England, have a look out in the skies. If it's not cloudy, we should be able to see the aurora tonight.
I don't think I'm not too sure, mate. I know there's a massive sunblast, isn't there? Like the solar storm that's hit.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. We're supposed to see it tonight.
Yeah,
Really?
that's the documentary, but the English dubbed version is awful. It's shortened.
Yeah.
The information doesn't correspond with the information in the German version. The German version is treasure of information.
Interesting. Okay, so you're saying is if I just play a little bit of it, just to show the How Naboo, and you tell me whether or not it's actually if it's the actual documentary or not. Let's put that there.
Yeah, these drawings. Yeah, these are the drawings which I told you earlier. I know I've met people who saw these drawings in person, and asked the owner if they could scan them. There was one problem. They were very large. They were A3 format. So like original drawings from the drawing board. So you would need a really large scanner. But they also rejected because they were afraid that start shoots, the police would take them away, would confiscate them, because that's another problem. But in Germany, all the records of the Germans from the era 33-45 are not available. You can go to the Bundesarchiv. You can find everything from 45 on, but from before 45, it's all erased. So they don't want you to know what's been said in those times. They don't want you. Okay. I'm looking for history books from that time because of the claim the pyramids were built 10,000 BC. They claimed it just like Graham Hancock. So it's hard to find real information from official site. But this is the documentary.
Is it okay? Cool. I'll keep an eye out for the original one, the one in German. But you would have to admit these How Naboo. Would you say this is a How Naboo flying saucer? Obviously with the gun turret, with the Panther turret underneath it.
I believe it's one of the experimental saucers they built. They 42, 43. The problem is there was a war going on. It was for the staff difficult to decide where do we put our money on, with what weapon can we win. So you have these V1 and V2 rockets, the first rocket planes, the first jet planes. The resources were little. So yeah, he talked. The man with the mustache. He talked about wonder weapons, but yeah, there were no resources enough to get it lifted from the ground. That was the problem.
I see. But in terms of financing and the actual, I mean, I know the Americans and the Europeans were actually financing Hitler. And I know there was so much money that left I think it was in Brussels. I think the headquarters for the Deutschmarks were kept. It was like billions went missing. So one question I want to sort of put forward is, why didn't they use these I presume these were like prototypes. If we're going by the original documents, you got the Haunebu 1, 2, and 3. Now, the Haunebu 1, according to the document, it might have been forged, but it says it was developed in 1939, and Haunebu 2 was from 1942 onwards. I'm just surprised that there's been no public knowledge of it at the time. Like, I'm surprised they didn't use it. I mean, there are some CIA documents that suggest, I mean, for instance, the one story that basically there was a Polish agriculture worker I think it was in Austria somewhere, and he was working on this tractor, and then his tractor stops, and he was working next to this big warehouse. And suddenly he says, and this is an actual CIA document, he says he heard this electric whining noise coming from this warehouse, and suddenly rises a flying saucer, and it lifted up silently, and it was described as a brim of a hat. And this was from 43, if I remember from the document, 43, 44. And the flying saucer rose up and went across the trees and away. So this was in the middle of the forest where this was, and this was from an actual Polish prisoner of war who immigrated to America. Because what was happening, you had all these UFO sightings in the 50s, especially in Texas, in America, and all these Polish workers, who were prisoners of war that actually immigrated to America, and were hearing these reports of flying saucers. And this specific guy went to the FBI office and says, "Look, I don't know why you're, confused about these flying saucers. This is what the Germans made. The Germans made these." And then obviously the FBI agent wrote it all down and obviously kept the document. And that document is in a book called Hitler's Flying Saucers by Henry Stevens. I want to get Henry Stevens on my show to give an interview. And that document is in here. That's the book there. And that's the black sun symbol. But yeah, it's immensely fascinating, because although I do some way poo-poo the idea of the Germans wouldn't have built anything like this, but look at how technically brilliant they were. I mean, really look into how advanced they were with technology. I would not be surprised if they did. But do you
know the Hoff plane? It looks like a big bomber.
Is that like the big 6 engine?
No, it's a 2-engine jet plane. But it's a single wing plane.
Oh, is it the Horton Piranha? Is that what you're talking about? It looks like
HE229. HE229, I mean.
HE229. Let me just have a little look at this. And what year was this, Paul? Oh, the Horton. Oh, yeah. That was like top of the range at the time, wasn't it? I don't actually ever beaten that.
So and
the Horton.
It's very easy to hide building something. If you have different factories making parts, they don't know what they are about, and you put them together at the last moment, at the last factory. You only have the people that know that are in the last factory. So it's pretty easy to keep it silent. So and I'm also convinced that US has a secret space force. I think you know the story about Gary McKinnon, the British guy who hacked US Army. He found evidence for a secret space army. So they can hide it as well. So it's likely they could hit hide this German technology as well. And yeah, the rumor in Germany is they went before the end of the war. They went to Antarctica. They already established a base or more bases there, and that's what Operation Highjump is all about. They wanted to get that were or are still hiding on Antarctica. And there was a couple of things that are very important. In 1938-39, I have a book here.
Hold on, let me bring that up.
The German expedition in that's the German expedition that happened in 1938-39. Because I believe Germany took over Antarctica the size of Germany, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. And to international law, they rightfully claimed it, according to international law at that time. So it's part of the German Reich. So that's very important because only the Wehrmacht surrendered at the end of the war. The Reich didn't surrender.
No, they went to America.
Also claimed in a speech, and I verified it if this claim was real. He claimed that the last battalion, the war could take as long as it wants, but the last battalion would be a German. That was his own word. I really looked it up. He really said that.
Yeah.
German Reich didn't surrender. And in the documentary, The Two Deaths of Mr. Mustache, there's a documentary. His secretary and his servant are interviewed in this documentary. And his secretary states, just before he shot himself, he installed a new government.
And did you believe Mr. Mustache killed himself in a bunker or not?
No. That's
isn't there evidence?
That's the documentary about the two deaths of him, because the Russians have a different version than the Germans.
They faked his death, didn't they? They had a body double, didn't they?
Did they test the bones? That was supposed to be it.
The jaw was from a woman.
Yeah.
A 34-year-old woman. Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah.
But another thing in the documentary, which is very remarkable, is his servant is also being interviewed, and he asked to the man from, where should we fight for now? And the man with the mustache answered, the coming man. So he installed a new government, and he told them, a coming man. The coming man, there they should fight for. So that's and what also is true is that Germany is still occupied by the US. The Bundesrepublik Deutschland is not the successor of the German Reich. There is a court judged that. So officially, the German Reich still exists.
Do you know what? It's interesting you mentioned that, because obviously with Operation Paperclip, with the thousands of SS soldiers and technicians, engineers, they say 1,600 went into America. 600 of them went into like NASA, but I think 1,000 of them went into the intelligence agency, which formed the CIA. So in a way, you are. I mean, I believe the Germans didn't. I would say the Germans won, but didn't at the same time, because a lot of top SS people end up expanding, going to like Peru, Argentina, America. But if you look at America as a whole, especially like what influenced, the CIA, the intelligence agencies, as a lot of it was to do with German that was brought over from Germany. So you are bringing the Third Reich into the Fourth in that respect.
No, it's in Germany. In right wing people, they who are interested in this topic, they claim it's the third force next to America, Russia. The Germans are the third force. They're the Germans that got away with those saucers.
I see. I see.
And Paperclip, to my knowledge, they got a choice. Those Germans that were captured, either work with us or go to a camp, and they were called the Rheinwiesenlager. 5 million people were taken prison, mostly soldiers, kids 15 years, and old people also. They were in the open field, no food, no water. They were, and that was the choice they had. Either you go with us to America and you work for us, or you go to a camp like that. And Russians did the same. I know people. I've talked to a man here in a village, next village here. I talked to an older man. He walked back from Siberia back to Germany when he was released, barefoot through the snow.
Bloody hell! Whoa! Because I know the Soviets. Almost like threatened the Germans to work for them, because I know the British got some, like Kurt Debus in the beginning. The Soviets got some, but they threatened them, said, "Look, you best come with us, or hell will break loose." But the Americans, from what I gathered, said, "Hey, go over here, get a nice new job. We get your records cleared." Like Werner von Braun, he's got, and Kurt Debus, those two alone had thousands of dead Jewish slave laborers after them. And in America, you got like reward ceremonies from these people. They got a whole, Werner von Braun's got a whole center dedicated to him. I'm like, he's a fucking, it's a Nazi, for Christ's sake. He was responsible for thousands. I know, I said it again. I'm saying it again. Sorry, I didn't say it. But it's just crazy, man. You just think, how the hell did these people get away with it? It's crazy.
The right people in Germany see him as a traitor, and also the others that went to America, they see them as traitors.
Oh yeah, a lot of people. I'm not saying about all Americans, but they're kind of a bit uneducated. Some people don't know what 9/11 is. Do you want to be? It's quite staggering. As college students, it's crazy. So, if you say Werner von Braun, even adults in this country don't know who he is. But when you explain it, they go, "No, the Americans won't do that." It's like, yeah, just look, there's proof right there. It's just absolutely incredible. There was another guy. He was the Surgeon General of the Third Reich. He was named Dr. Walter Schreiber. He was the head of the vaccine program for Germany. That just says alone, that's just, And he ended up going into America. And this is what's interesting. Someone noticed him in America. I think someone from the Nuremberg trials was saying, "Look, why are you in America? You were supposed to be tried for war crimes." And he was deported from America to Germany. But where he ended up going, have a little think.
South America.
Where do you think?
Brazil.
Argentina. He spent the rest of his life there. Yeah.
Brazil. Brazil. Colonia Dignidad. I don't know if you ever heard of it. There's a German in Brazil. There are German settlers, and in Argentina there are German settlers as well.
And also, I think is it Italy? Is it Italy and Spain and Peru? I think. They're literally everywhere. It's unbelievable what they managed to do. So. Yeah, should we go back into these flying saucers, man? Because I like to talk about this stuff a little bit later, man. Because I want to get into Admiral Byrd and Operation Highjump at some point. But going on to continue with the Hownabu, Paul, where can I want to get to the source of this information. I want to find the original actual documents and blueprints and stuff. Where can I go to find this? Because I don't know if you ever heard of the Vril Project, which was a book released by Norbert Jürgen Rathofer and Ralph Ettel. There was two Austrians that co-wrote the Vril Project.
They are also responsible for this documentary.
And they co-wrote those two documentaries. So is that UFO Strikes Back as well, yeah?
Yeah. That's Rathofer. His name is also mentioned at the end of the German version.
Is that Rathofer or Norbert Jürgen?
Yeah. But yesterday you showed a picture and you said it was from Billy Meyer, but it isn't isn't the case. I got a video in my playlist. I told you earlier I had a channel with German sources back in 2007 before it got banned. I got a lecture from Randolph Winters, who's a writer, an American writer, and he did investigate the Billy Meier case. And he was giving a lecture on Billy Meier, and he was showing videos from Billy Meier, and then he said oh, what's this doing here? And then he shows pictures, these German sources, from a Florida case. And this
I know what you're talking about.
And this guy claims he was taken with them. He was taken to a base in Brazil. He took also photos from that base. And something tells me this could be genuine, because it was also in the early 90s. He couldn't have known the German source's story. I think it's very unlikely.
I think I know what you're talking about, Paul. I actually sent it to Ollie, who was the host of Alien Addict, which we're going to be on tomorrow. So just a little plug. Me and Hidden will be on Alien Addict tomorrow, discussing the Vril and time travel. And I sent Ollie a video. I'm just going to have a little search for it. Excuse me. This is the video you're talking about. This American guy has all the photos of Billy Meier, and he shows these. Excuse me. These like how in the move flying saucers on top of tripods. I actually got the video here. I'm just going to bounce it over. But I don't know. The thing is, anybody who's linked to Billy Meier, I'm like, oh, do you know what I mean, Paul?
Did you read the book from Gary Kinder? They came from million light years. Gary Kinder has written a book about Meier. He was also there. He stayed longer period at Meier's. Meier told him that as a kid he saw a UFO with his father, and his father claimed that's a secret project from Mr. Mustache.
Where is it?
Another thing in that book, Semjase, the woman Meier always spoke German to him. So I think
is that the Palladian you talk? He
played Pleiadians. They were Germans, I think, and some of the story is true.
It would make sense because the Palladians, they kind of look like the Aryans of what you would think the Aryans would look like.
And then look at the Adamski case back in '52. He got perfect pictures of Houneboos. He got also pictures of the mothership. He got pictures of the mothership releasing UFOs, but he claimed they were from Venus. But they were tall blondes with long hair and blue eyes. Germans.
Sounds like my girl.
So this is what I noticed, Paul, as well. The Hounaboo craft looked just like George Adamski's flying saucer, which came out in '52, isn't it? His story came out.
Yeah. But what do you think? How people would react if they would say, "Hey, we're Germans. We're renegade Germans. We escaped from you."
Paul, you're blowing my mind, mate. This is what I love, man. Thank God you're on this show, because this is awesome stuff. Honestly, this is stuff I want to hear, man. It's difficult to find people that's got like the same sort of mindset. But when it comes to Billy Meier, I mean, like his laser gun. I mean, some of this stuff, I have to admit, Paul, is fake, right? You have to admit.
But just like Adamski, they were. But do you trust Stephen Greer? He started really good in 2001 with his press conference, really good. And then he started talking rubbish and tried to make a buck. Why? Because he got threatened. He got intimidated.
By whom? Whom would you think? Who do you think threatened him?
The powers that be. It can't go. This is it's stuff the general public isn't allowed to know. It's the same thing over and over again. Some people start really good and then they start talking bullshit because, yeah.
Yeah, it comes with the territory, doesn't it? Let's oh, I found it. Right, brilliant. Let's bring this up. 2 seconds.
But that would be a real good ploy, because it can also play into the propaganda of the things by saying, look, we're not from Germany, we're from Venus. We're from the Palladian system.
Yeah.
So but then it kind of blows out. Well, yeah, well, I don't know. I'm going to be quiet because I can see that comment.
You've heard about the Barney and Betty Hill case, of course, the first alien abduction. In his transcript, under hypnosis, he was hypnotized, and he saw N-word on board. He saw on board a guy in a uniform. It looked like an N.
Ah, he saw a Nancy. Nancy.
He saw an Nancy.
As in Nancy Drew.
Sorry, guys. I'm trying to find this video of the German bit. Hold on.
Someone's saying that they're from Uranus and they like doing probing.
Yeah, but if you look in the works of John E. Mack, he won a Pulitzer Prize. He did investigate in the abduction phenomena. And yeah, he says people suffer PTSD from something they really experienced. So he, there is something going on, but yeah.
But then again, if they were under some form of hypnosis, then they would believe what they believe, wouldn't they? Like if you see these people doing the hypno tricks on stage when they're saying you're a chicken, and they start acting like a chicken.
Yeah, but this was regressive hypnosis therapy, and then they recall the past. And they all had the same story of being taken aboard a ship, experiment, and Johnny Mack was a Pulitzer Prize winner. He was a really serious researcher who did this. So there is something going on. So it's ufology isn't just the German sources, but it's this. There are several phenomena that's all related to the UFO phenomena. So there's also a German book. It's called Unternehmen Aldebaran. It refers to an alien race from Aldebaran. Also, again, next to the Pleiades, same corner again, belt of Orion. And he claims he and his wife have been abducted several times. They had the same marks on their body as other victims, and they claim they are engineering a new race. When we are exterminated, there will be a new race of people on this.
So that's kind of interesting then, because like they've just moved the let's say the engineering of humans, what was going on with the Mr. Mustache Man, and then they said, well, you know what, it's not us, it's aliens that are doing this now, and this feeds into the hybrid program, which many people chat about.
Yeah, that is what they also claim, that they're going to be a hybrid race. But how this is connected to the German sources, I haven't found out. But this abduction phenomena is something not to be ignored. But it's very difficult to find evidence or credible information on it, because most of it is bullshit, most of it is speculation. So that's also one reason why I research mainly on the German source, because it's something more near, not far-fetched.
Yeah. Could you remember there was a famous admiral for the Germans? His name was Kurt Donitz.
Carl
He was
Dönitz,
part of
yeah.
this. He emigrated to America, and he had a very famous quote, and it always stuck out to me, Paul. And it was being interviewed, and the interviewer said, "How come the Germans were so technically brilliant?" And the reply from Dönitz was, "We had help." He was talking about help from outer space. It almost alluded to aliens. I need to get the actual quote, but the way he said it, like we had help from other people, but nothing.
Yeah.
When the way he said it was about someone from outer space, then rather than like the Spanish or the Italians or something like that.
And this is a German guy.
Yeah,
Carl Dönitz also claimed that they had a safe haven, a paradise created.
Would you like to read? I'm going to read that quote out. I actually have it here. It's hang on 2 seconds.
Paul, you want to can I introduce you? Interrupt real quick. Yes, I'm doing it on Twitter. Paul, can you introduce yourself, because some people want to know who you are.
Yeah, I'm Paul. I'm just a dude from the Netherlands. I lived in Germany many years, and yeah, I'm doing research on the German UFOs for over 20 years now.
There you go. There you go.
He's a brother from another mother, put it that way.
And he 420s, guys. He 420s.
He's a 420.
He's 420 right now.
Here's the actual quote from how do you spell how do you say his name, Paul? Is it
Carl Dönitz?
Dönitz. I thought it said.
Dönitz.
I thought it sounds like donuts. I was calling it donuts. But yeah, this is what it is. This is the quote. The German submarine is proud of having built the Führer in another part of the world, a Shangri-La on land, an impenetrable fortress.
Yes.
So they're saying.
Yes.
This is links to Antarctica, because you're quite right, Paul. Back in 1939, 38, 39, the Germans literally explored Antarctica. They literally took over the amount of land was about the size of Germany, and they put swastika flags all around where they put territories. Now, isn't it just a bit of a coincidence that Admiral Byrd, straight after the war from 1946 to 47, had like a massive army, literally unlimited amount of army and funding to go to Antarctica and give the excuse of, oh, it's just a training exercise. But you got literally 4,000 people in full battle draft gear. You got helicopters, tanks, submarines, and you're thinking, hold on a minute. And I think one excuse was they were trying to get uranium or some sort of natural resources they can actually rely on. But I think Admiral Byrd's quote in December was saying, my expedition is military in nature, and didn't really give any information onto that. So there's something behind that.
There's a book on this expedition from Byrd called Assault on Eternity. The title is shown already a bit, but the scientists claim in that book that they didn't like the military. It was more a military expedition than a scientific expedition. They complained about it.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
what's your thoughts about? What's your thoughts about
one thing.
Go ahead,
back to Dönitz about his quote about this colony. I have found in a German paper for the Netherlands. It's from June 8, 1944, and there it's claimed that the Neuschwabenland expedition from 38-39, they brought back a map from the new colony. So, and I have also found a newspaper article from 1941, where fishermen that are at the South Pole, they meet a German warship. They see a German warship. So there was activity. They were building there. It's for me. There's no denial.
Is this deep underground Antarctica? Because I know when they did the expeditions, they went deep underground and they found these thermal.
Have you heard about Lake Vostok? Have you heard about Lake Vostok on Antarctica? There's a lake
No, no,
in
no.
Antarctica, and there is geological activity, volcanic activity under the ice. There is warm water, and it's claimed that Lake Vostok is a warm water lake with life. The Russian discovered it, but it's
Oh, right.
also possible that you get a dome over the years. So you have a warm water lake with a giant dome because of the melting ice above it, and that would be habitable.
Yeah, because it's like
And
25 degrees in there. Apparently, it's like it's actually you can actually live in there, even though you're
yeah,
surrounded by ice. It's
yeah,
fresh water. You know, yeah.
impenetrable. And there's also a letter from someone who was on a submarine who wrote home, and he claimed from, yeah, we can't come back. We go, everything will be all right with us, but we can't come back. And the earth is hollow. In how far that's,
I'm
but
glad you said that.
Yeah.
that's a very short letter. And there are two submarines that came months after the war was over at the coast of Argentina. There was
Yeah.
the 977. That was in August. The war ended in May, and in August they came to the most south-lying city in Argentina. And
Yeah.
it's also what they came from Antarctica.
Because there was a big hoopla. I think it's back in the late 40s. This German submarine, I think it arrived somewhere like near America, and they were actually caught. And this was like years after the war. An actual German submarine. I can't remember. It was near the coast of America, near there. But it's amazing how many. Would you call that a breakaway civilization? Perhaps, you know, as we're looking at Germans living in, you know, in like in Peru, you know, they have actually, you know, colonies up there.
Yeah, there were over 100 submarines missing after the war.
Yeah, it can't be accounted for. So that also it must bring that technology as well, because how advanced the Germans were. I know the Americans and the British and, you know, Europeans got some of that technology, but the advanced stuff now, in regards of the Haunebu and obviously the real flying saucers, because the Haunebu, if I'm right, was like a cargo. It's what it having like a big crew of people to actually for like long distances, and the Vril was for the like a fighter intercept craft. I think that's the idea behind it. But can I just get your I'm just gonna move along a little bit. I want to talk about Antarctica a little bit later, if that's all right. But I just want to continue with this flying saucers at the moment. How were these powered then from your research? Because I hear like hand callers tachymeter was incorporated into it. The idea is you had this a way of defying gravity, like amplifying gravity just high enough so it actually distorts it, so it basically just like floats almost like a magnet. Does that make sense? Was that?
I think there's a Wimshurst machine that's a rotating discs that create static electricity, high voltage. Yeah. And I think that in combination with a Tesla coil on top, you see those first UFOs, those Haunebu have a large knob on top.
Yeah.
It looks like they create an electromagnetic vortex. How it's powered, I don't. Yeah, maybe the Kohler converter, but there was also rumors that they were powered with conventional engines. So
yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah, there's some sort of another external power to actually power this flying saucer. I had heard theories about that. Yeah, because I've seen these like circular cylindrical sort of like tachymeters, what they call it, basically like a tachyon drive, if that makes sense. I mean, and there's been sort of drawings on it on the documentary that sort of briefly talks about it. But do you think this is the science behind it?
Yeah, it's in the German documentary. They claim it's a principle of genius simplicity.
Yeah, it's.
So
I can imagine.
many solutions are that simple, but it's just yeah.
Yeah, I believe there's many
How they
different.
are saying
Yeah,
we move wrong. We move at a wrong way. So implosion instead of explosion.
I see. Because there you mentioned implosion. There you mentioned also obviously Victor Schauberger, which I talked about in my last episode. I might be wrong on this, but obviously he was part of creating a new propulsion system that had water vortex, you know. But through the conspiracies through the years of these books, throughout the decades, you'll find that Victor Schauberg is sort of linked into like the Vril Society and electromagnetism, which is from what I researched about Victor Schauberger, he dealt with water vortex and obviously implosion. He didn't really deal with anti-gravity. Is that something
Yeah.
I got wrong?
Yeah, he was in water management. Water was his key point. But his son, Walter Schauberger, gave an interview, and in this interview, he confirmed that his father worked on these saucers, on the technology, because the principle of this vortex had a lot to do, I think, with this electromagnetic vortex. There's also a Russian documentary on the German saucers. I don't know if you know it, Operation UFO. It's on YouTube with English subtitles. There is also the theory that the Earth isn't hollow, but there is an electromagnetic vortex on top of it, because of all the radiation from the sun and the rotation of the Earth. That you get vortexes on top and on the bottom of the Earth, and those are portals. So that isn't.
I've heard that. Yeah.
That's a very interesting theory, I think. And the vortex, the swastika is a stylistic vortex. Our galaxy, the black sun in the middle, it's a vortex. The vortex is the answer.
Because with the black sun symbol, because I did obviously looking into the black sun symbol, they don't really know what it really is. Obviously, the idea of the rune, is it Surja? So is it Surja rune? I got that wrong, haven't I? The cross, the
Balkan cross,
you know,
the German cross is
not the German cross. You know the black sun, the symbol of the black sun. You got crosses. You got 12 crosses that go around, which are technically runes.
They call it the sun wheel.
That's it, the sun wheel. That's it. Yeah. Do you think that is that something to do with energy? In terms of occultism.
Well, we talked also about the Wewelsburg. That's the Himmler's castle.
Himmler's castle. Yeah.
That's three-cornered castle. There is a sun wheel at the middle of the big tower. And people who've been there, they say it has some strange properties. When you stand on it, something strange will happen. They will always pull you away if you try to stand on it.
Oh, really? Because you've got pillars that's going around. I'm just going to bring up a photo because this is really interesting.
Yeah, it's a really interesting site. It's also again, a stylistic, vortex, and it's also claimed that our Milky Way goes around the black sun every 26,000 years, and half of it in a positive energy and half of it in a negative energy, and that we're now at the end of this negative energy.
Is this what this symbol represents then?
On that, that's it supposedly has strange properties.
Do you think that symbol represents what you're talking about?
Yeah. That's a sun wheel, the Zonnerad, and it's from Germanic culture, from the ancient Germans. So
in terms of what this symbol actually represents, then could you, as a German, would you better tell me what this symbol actually?
I know a lot. Yeah, in right-wing circles, they call it the black sun. And the black sun, as I just stated, is this cyclist from every 26,000 years.
The
And
new age of Aquarius, isn't it?
yeah. That's a bit the same. So
That's interesting because Himmler was into some absolutely bizarre stuff. I mean, we talked about the Anu briefly before the show. The idea of trying to get the Spear of Destiny, the Violet Blackstone. Yeah, I tell you what, could you just like tell me about like the Spear of Destiny, or whether or not Himmler actually faked, he actually got the real one, and he got someone to make a copy. And in fact, the one that we've seen in the museum is a replica. It's not actually the real one. Apparently, Himmler snagged it for himself so he could create all these black magic rituals. So for the people who don't really know about the symbol, it's obviously the Black Sun symbol, but this is in Himmler's castle, was three-sided castle. Is it in, how do you pronounce where it is? Is it WAWALSBURG? Wewelsburg. Wewelsburg.
Type it in the chat.
Well, see, wasn't the Spear of Destiny presented to Pope Alexander in the middle 15th century?
That I'm not too sure, mate. I'm not too sure. All I know that apparently Himmler obviously did an expedition before the war, trying to find out the original dramatic roots. It might be trying to find the Aryan race. Trying to find their like the cultures, because I know that a lot of German philosophy, the Third Reich philosophy, was based upon Hindu religion. I mean, we talked about that a little bit on the last one.
Yeah.
So they did these expeditions.
Yes, you mentioned Karl Haushofer earlier in the other. Karl Haushofer also translated Babylonian texts, and one of these is called the Book of Sayaha. It's published in German. There's a German version, and supposedly translated by Haushofer, but someone else translated it later on. Also, it's online. It's not much, only a few chapters, but these texts are really remarkable. The English version, someone from the David Icke Forum translated them from German into English, but the translation is so la. But because these texts are translated from Babylonian in German, but it's also grammatically not good German. They try to keep the original text as original possible. One of these texts describes the days we live in. This woke community, the LBGT time, that they predict that. They predict that lies are sold as truth, and truth is sold as lies. The world is upside down. We live in a poisoned world.
Yeah, backward.
But they also refer to Germany, these texts. They refer to Nordland, and they refer to the Untersberg. And the Untersberg is something I mentioned earlier. Mr. Mustache had his cabin up on the high mountains, Berchtesgaden, at Obersalzberg, and he looked over at the Untersberg. And the Untersberg is a mythological mountain where people have been disappeared, reappeared, been missing for weeks only, and they think they went in a cave and went away for 2 hours. They come back and people say, "Hey, where have you been all week?" A group of students disappeared and reappeared in Egypt. There was also press coverage of this, and it has an end time prophecy that the Emperor Karl rests in this mountain, and when the ravens have died and his beard has grown 3 times around the table, he will break the end times have come, and the last battle of this earth will take place. World War III. We can.
Is that
So-
now then, Paul? Is that 2024, or is that almost
It's
predicted
hard
for
to
years
say.
to come?
Predictions. It's hard to give them a real good timestamp from then will that happen, then will that happen, because that's there is some truth, and afterwards you can say, oh, see, he was correct, but when is there are predictions that the Ukraine is the start of World War III, and when now with if everyone starts to call will cheer for peace, then the day after World War III will start.
Is that,
So,
do you think we'll see the Hannibal flying saucers then? Because I really want to see these bad boys.
The prediction is that these and the myth in Germany is that these German sources, they left Germany when the war was almost over. They saw we lose the battle, and they are preparing and waiting for World War III to liberate Germany and liberate the rest of the world from all evil. That's the myth that is in Germany going around. And coming back to these Babylonian prophecies, they predicted the man with the mustache. They said one of us will rise, and he will be given the years according to the signs in the heaven and to the heavenly bodies, and they mean the sun, the moon, and planets. And in total, the sun, moon, and 10 planets is 12. 6 years in peace, 6 years at war. And Mr. Mustache was 6 years at peace and 6 years at war, and he would fall. Was also predicted.
Interesting. So we go through like a new cycle then, I guess.
Yeah, there is also they will also refer to the age of Aquarius. That would be the moment,
and that's what we're in.
That's what we're in. Yeah. Paul, you're blowing my mind, bruv.
This book full of prophecies. It also refers several times to the Magic Mountain, the Mountain of the North, Nordland. Germany. There's also a description of Berlin. There's a statue they call the Siegessäule. That's a gold statue in Berlin, very famous. And they refer also to that.
What is the statue of?
The Siegessäule. That is a victory column.
Okay.
And they refer to that in that Babylonian book as well. So but the description of the present time, it's 101. It's you read it and you understand it. It's a punch in the face.
It just feels like something's brewing, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I made a little short on my YouTube channel, and like it kind of feels like something's brewing, like something's about to happen. It's probably going to come from the sky this time. You know what I mean? It's just anything's possible these days. Yeah.
I earlier referred to the press conference from Stephen Greer back in 2001. There was one witness, Carol Rosin.
Yeah.
Yes.
She claimed she took care of Werner von Braun in his late years, and he stated to her they had flying cars back then. So
I would be surprised. Yeah.
He also claimed that the next thing would be terrorism. That was 5 months before September 11. And the next threat would be the alien invasion.
And that's what everybody's waiting for.
Yeah,
it's the false flag alien invasion. I gotta say.
So
I thought it was the asteroids, though. Did I hear that? I think it was
Yeah, asteroids, and then she said alien invasion, the final card.
So would you think we've gone through the asteroid bit yet? Because there has been a lot of hype about asteroids, isn't there? in the
Yeah,
past,
but
you know,
people don't care. They think from, oh yeah, when strikes, it strikes, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't you think a lot of the hype about the asteroids that are supposed to be ships or misinformation of people that don't understand how asteroids actually work?
It could be shut down with spaceships as well. Yeah, there are also rumors that the Americans, the Russians, and the Germans are fighting in space.
Yeah,
with
Yeah.
So
Have you seen Paul? Have you seen this footage of apparently as a joint space to Mars? It is the Americans and Russians.
yeah,
And apparently,
from the documentary Alternative 3 from Angela
Yes.
back in 1977. I know it.
yeah.
It's a Russian American co-op. Do you know the Apollo 20 footage?
Oh, is it the one with the buildings in it? Right? Is that?
No, with the
Is that
cigar-shaped object on the moon. With that alien lady with the bones at her eyes.
Oh, right. Paul, was that
20.
proven to be fake?
Some say it's fake, but to fake it, it would take a whole lot of effort because it isn't computer animation. The surface of the moon you see is genuine. So if you have to recreate a moon surface by every detail, it would take a lot of effort to recreate a fake moon surface and then film it off. Also when it's small, but what I noticed was very important, that there was also shown a flag which was partly American, partly Russian flag.
Oh, interesting. All right.
And then then the Mars landing was American Russian, and this Apollo 20 was also American Russian. So it gives it a bit more credit, I think.
Yeah, I know. Because they were obviously presented on Alternative 3 back in the 70s as like a mock documentary. You can actually find it on YouTube, and I actually did a video on the
It's very
moon on the.
It's faked, but it's a very interesting subject. The brain drain.
It is. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Does
I have to
does
admit,
that
go ahead, man.
I was going to go back into the colonization of Mars. Does that go back into, you remember when what's his face, the big guy that likes to shout a lot, Alex Jones? You remember he had a guest on that said
Bill Hicks. You mean?
No, Alex Jones. He had a guest on his show. He had a guest on his show that claimed that they've been taking children over to Mars for a very long time. That Mars is colonized.
Yeah, Alex Jones also claimed that Arnold Schwarzenegger would be the next president of the United States and would resurrect the Fourth Reich. Yeah, so
he's got to be silly on that one, because the only way you can be a president of the United States is you have to be born there. So he stood no chance to that one.
Yeah, but they were going to adjust the law and blah blah blah. That was so. Alex Jones, yeah, his real name is Bill Hicks. Just Google Bill Hicks. And
Jones. I know that theory.
I've seen that as well.
So,
yeah,
he's controlled opposition. That's
Bill
one
Hicks.
thing.
Bill Hicks ain't dead.
So, but the colonization of Mars, there's a secret space program.
I agree more with this comment. Now, the thing is, I like to think that they're on Mars, but ever since I saw that gopher, you remember the famous picture of that gopher?
Yeah,
that gopher that they showed the picture of, that's indigenous to that Devon Island.
There is it still in my playlist? I'll look a moment. There is this press conference from UFO TV, and they show pictures from Mars where they show trees.
Oh, I think I remember that. Yeah, I remember seeing that photo. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like vegetation
Vegetation.
there. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You owe me a Coke.
It's a bit
man.
like. It's the same with Antarctica as well. Apparently, if you go past the ice sheet, the Germans actually found, vegetation growing, places without any snow on it. It was actually quite fascinating. In fact, there's a footage out of all places on TikTok. It was past the ice sheet, and this is back in the 50s, and you can see these small individual islands with no ice on it in Antarctica. It's
Admiral
crazy.
Byrd also claimed there were ice-free parts, and they saw also strange colors. In the book Assault on Eternity, I heard the claim, and in Assault on Eternity, they also claimed they saw strange colored, surfaces that they couldn't explain. And I was recently digging in the newspaper archive, in the Dutch newspaper archive, and he saw creatures, giant creatures that were yellow. And they couldn't determine what they were.
Okay. Is this like old, is it manoliths or something like that? Or those big ancient prehistoric animals? Almost looks like an elephant or something like that, but apparently they still exist.
Jeff was asking, could it have been them, Giant Simpsons?
Yeah.
All right, stop it, Jeff, man. This is a serious topic.
Yeah, what in terms of what these creatures were? They're obviously yellow. I can't think what monster would be yellow.
Yeah,
not
Chris Martin.
And according to Bird's diary, have you read Bird's diary?
Yeah, it's a bit wackadoo, isn't it?
Fishy, yeah. But he see mammoths and stuff like that, extinct animals.
The Hollow Earth as well, because apparently, I mean, as we're on Admiral Byrd, right? I'm also move away from the Mars stuff because the Admiral Byrd stuff and Operation Highjump links into the Haunabu flying saucers because apparently there was alleged battle there. I mean, Operation Highjump. I mean, that just screams, what the bloody hell was going on here? Obviously, they went down there to look for the bloody Germans to sort them out. That's why they had like a massive battle fleet. Now, there is, in regards of Admiral Byrd's story of there was an alleged battle there and they immediately retreated back to America because it was only for, Paul, was it for like 6 months or something like that? It was a very short period of time.
He had unlimited time and resources. He had a budget with no limit. But after 2 months, they suddenly turned around and went back. And Byrd went missing. Byrd has been missing for several hours. So
really?
Those are facts.
Can I just read I'm going to read a quote from Admiral Byrd. This is what he said on the way back to America when he was defeated. This was in, I can't remember what newspaper it was, but this is an actual quote.
Argentina newspaper. I've seen that it has been traced back to an Argentinian newspaper. It's real.
Argentinian. Okay. And this is the quote here. It says, this is an actual quote. It says, in an event of another war, the United States needs to defend itself from enemy aircraft that can fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds. That's a quote from Admiral Byrd.
Yeah.
So what vehicles can fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds? Yeah. I mean, it's just...
There's a German folk song.
Unless they're going straight down.
Folk song. And that goes from North Pole to the South Pole is just a jump of a cat.
Do you think that polar vortex you're talking about, Paul? Do you think that's like a connection there?
Yeah, maybe. But and there is another German song, and it's a folk song, and it's very it goes about these German saucers that they are in hideouts, and then rant about the powers that be, and that their time will come, and that they won't show their face now. They wait for the for Judgment Day. They wait for das große Weltgericht, also the day that, like predicted in the Bible, Judgment Day. That's their plan. It's according to this song. So,
what's the song called again? Do you know? Is it obviously not an English song?
I got it in my playlist on my channel. It's called Erich Kemper. It's a singer, and it's called UFOs. And it's and he sounds a bit drunk as he sings, but he's
Awesome, man. That's awesome. This is fascinating stuff. Because you've made my live stream a lot more easier. So I literally like planned the whole presentation. So this is actually quite nice and relaxing to actually get some information from a guy who obviously you're very knowledgeable in this information. Yes. It's stuff I've heard, but you get the extra detail as well, which is absolutely fascinating. In regards of what do you think happened at Antarctica with Admiral Byrd? Do you think there was an actual battle there? Do you think there was an actual
I really think they got beat up, and with a dog with a tail between his legs, they crawled back, it seems that in '58 they tried again
bombs
during Operation Deep Freeze, and it's rumored they tried to nuke them with nuclear bombs. They heavily failed, but they also created that large hole in the ozone layer.
Oh, I see. Do you think, the flyovers in Washington, D.C., 1952, because what's interesting, because you're quite right on that, Paul, the Americans were actually launching bombs or nuclear bombs into Antarctica at a certain New Schwabenland, where the German base was allegedly at. And then soon after, you had flipping UFOs flying over Washington. There's a famous photograph of it. I don't know if you see it, it's Washington, D.C., and you can see about 9, obviously it's at night, like 9 dots in the sky. And allegedly that was to say to the, go on then, Paul, what's there?
Hold on.
1960. Letter from Bay.
From who?
Who's that, Paul?
Yeah. That's a very strange envelope I somehow obtained, and I got 2 of them. A moment.
This is interesting stuff. This is awesome.
Yeah, because it looked like it had the map of Antarctica on it.
It did,
I have a map of Antarctica. That's in the book. I can show it in a moment. But first this.
See, Nick, ain't you glad you came?
Yeah, mate. This is awesome stuff.
West
This is how I born.
West Germany.
Neuschwabenland base.
Yeah.
Letter from base.
That's an actual letter from the base, or it's just the envelope?
It's just the envelope with some rare. So it adds to the mystery. It's from a post-stamp collector who died, and his stuff was for sale on eBay, and I stumbled across it, and I bought it.
God, so did the guy know what it actually was? How important?
No, it was just a merchant who sold it to me. He had no further information on it, just that it was a heritage from somebody who collected it.
Bloody hell! So what's the date on that, Paul? Was there a date?
July 28th, 1960, and I researched. There was an expedition planned, but the guy who organized it was a bit strange. You weren't allowed to publish any photos if you went. He had a very strict contract if you wanted to go. And I found a list of people who sponsored it, and these sponsors were all top businessmen, politicians, and the upper class. And the expedition was discontinued. So it's so that there is something going on Antarctica with the Germans. That's a fact.
100%. Yeah, it's how much they actually took over Antarctica. I mean, it was the size of Germany.
Yeah,
Just John talking about. It was absolutely huge. Obviously, I think recently.
Here's a map.
Hold up. Let me.
Yeah, bring this up, Eden. Yeah.
What are we looking at there?
What...
Oh, sorry. I'm the host. I can ask the question.
Oh yeah. Oh, that bit there. I see that island bit is the Schwabenland. Yeah. I mean, Antarctica's quite big, but I mean that's still quite impressive.
Yeah.
Because in the National Geographic map in 1950, it actually says New Schwabenland in there.
This is the entire map of, and here on the top you see eingesehenes Gebiet. That's the territory they've seen, and the swastikas you see.
I see. Yeah,
those were marking points. They had iron poles with a big weight on the bottom and a swastika flag, and they threw them every so for miles. They throw them out of the plane to mark the territory.
I see. Paul, do you reckon they were doing regular trips back and forth to I can imagine like Argentina to Germany, obviously during World War II, to actually continue building an underground base? Because I know that the mainstream would say no, they had the capability to do that. I'm like, yeah, they would. I know there's no sort of track record of them doing that, but the amount of submarines that went missing, I mean, there's hundreds after the war. I wouldn't be surprised that some of that. I mean, Hans Kammler, Hans Kammler, the head of the top secret programs for, he must have the connections into that. He must have known something.
He was later seen in Russia, Hans Kammler, and there is evidence that he had a son.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought he went to America. That's what that's the theory I heard.
I've been in the Jonastal. Jonastal is near Ohrdruf. And Ohrdruf is the first concentration camp that got liberated during the war. And the Jonastal is rumored that it's where the factory was, where the first 3 nuclear bombs were built by the Germans. General Patton went to Ohrdruf, and they say he confiscated these first 3 atomic bombs, and they were shipped to America. They tried one, Trinity, and then Little Boy and Fat Boy were thrown on Japan. They were German-made, it's claimed.
Yes, I did hear about that, because they found materials or something linked to the atomic bomb in an underground factory that was discovered, I think about 5 years ago, probably less than that, where they discovered.
I've been there. I had a tour from a local writer. His name is Thomas Mehner. He has written also a book about this, and he did. He then took samples from certain areas, and in one of them they found all the ingredients for an atomic bomb. There are witness accounts from people that saw a bright flash and a mushroom cloud. So it's pretty certain that the Germans did build the atomic bomb, but they didn't get it to use it because Patton was there first. And Patton was later killed. It was a car accident, but it was,
Yeah, this is interesting because I've always speculated that the Germans had the capability of building a nuclear bomb. I mean, if they would have perfected it, God knows what they would have done with it, to a certain extent. But you're quite right, Paul. There have been documents of prisoners of war seeing this big, bright blue flash with a mushroom cloud. Now, I wouldn't say these were the size of what was dropped on Japan or Hiroshima. These were like a smaller scale nuclear bomb that the Germans definitely were working on. In terms of what you mentioned earlier with Victor Schauberg and torsion physics, do you know much about the Bell project, the Die Glocke?
Yeah, the only thing is I've seen that from its History channel. They had a documentary on the Bell, but that's all I've seen so far in German circles. There is no. I think they redesigned the Haunebu because the Haunebu is also being called Die Glocke in German because it's shaped a bit like a bell.
Okay, so Die Glocke is another word given. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Okay.
And
interesting.
What I also heard in German circles, and recently I saw an experiment on Twitter, is rotating Mercury.
Yeah.
It has
electrical
really
charge to it.
So if they put a charge to it, and they say there lays the key for anti-gravity devices.
Because I don't know if you know Joseph P. Farrell. He talks about Die Glocke a bit. I mean, he doesn't agree with Haunebu flying saucers. He actually proposed that idea. But he talks about the Bell. Now, I've been researching into the Bell project, and if anybody wants to know about who broke the story and who's got the information about the Bell project, a Polish journalist called Igor Bukowski, The Truth of the Wood. Yeah, check out this book. He's the guy who broke it, the story about the Bell project. Now, what Paul was mentioning about mercury, you can actually, if you put an electrical charge into a sort of dish with mercury in it, it would actually start spinning. And what the Bell project was a bell-shaped device. I don't like being on full screen, mate. I feel like I'm too personal. Take me off.
Sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
Just when you was being technical, so.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not that sort of person. but what the Bell project is this device was shaped like a bell, and inside you had two counter-rotating barrels or cylinders that had a mercury-based plasma that was called Serum-125. Might be wrong on that one. And what happened is that this device was actually linked up to a power plant, and it was enough. The amount of wattage they were putting into this bell was enough to power Berlin. That's how much power they were putting into it. And what happened is that as they put the electrical charge into it, it will start spinning. So the mercury will counter-rotate, which is a bit like Victor Schauberger's torsion physics. And as it's sort of spinning, apparently, according to, there are some documents to prove, or say prove, to sort of allude to, this device did levitate. It just levitated up and levitated down. The problem with that, it gave off such a big background radiation. It actually killed people, and it would actually deteriorate plants. It was tested indoors first, and then they actually brought it outside, which is where the henge is in Poland. You heard of the henge, Paul? Mm-hmm. That big sort of
the fly trap.
The fly trap, that's right. And apparently that's where they allegedly tested it. But the Bell project really deserves like a whole episode on its own, because it really gets into like excuse me, real like technical details, which I can't really get into because it requires a lot of research into it. But nevertheless, it's very fascinating that the German can actually do something like that during the war.
And it's justified because energy was the key to win the war. Gasoline was short. There was short of coal. They needed alternative ways to create power, energy.
Yeah.
What you never hear is they made synthetic gasoline from coal.
I just like I'd just like to jump in real quick. Apparently, the CIA is listening to this conversation that we're having right now. So I'd like to say hello, guys. You're doing a stand-up job, you know.
Cheers. Thanks.
MID.
Thanks, and get a
And
life.
if you want to pay me some money, please pay me some money, CIA, because you know, well, pay us. We all need it. If you want us to be quiet, give us some money. We'll be quiet.
We'll buy
Say
weed,
whatever you want.
Yeah. So that's it. That's it. Thank you, CIA, for tuning in. Tell your your ABC gangs to join us as well. The more viewers, you know, helps us out.
Yeah,
Okay.
check out Alien Addict. Oh, yeah, also CIA, check out Alien Addict tomorrow. Me and Hidden will be on there, 10 o'clock UK time. We're talking about Vril and Marie Orsic. So yeah, CIA, come join us. We're all bloody grifters on that Alien Addict channel.
and drama farmers as well.
Yeah, we
no,
I'm joking.
Hello, Ollie.
Hi, Ollie.
Okay,
See you tomorrow, mate.
Okay, sorry I digress, but somebody came in and said, you know, that they're listening to you. So, Jeff,
how can you tell though? How can you tell though? I'm quite interested.
I don't know, but Jeff, I'm going to give you the heads up, man. You keep an eye. Jeff, the other moderators, because I forget. I always think Jeff's just the moderator here, but there's others here. Just keep an eye out, just in case, you know, some foolishness goes on in the chat. But yeah, sorry. I just had to say hello. Them guys are, you know, that's pretty cool. I'm well impressed that, you know, little old boy in England. Man, the CIA is paying attention to us, so we're doing something right, guys. We're doing something right.
We're doing something, yeah. do you mind if I played the Billy Meyer video?
Yeah, sure.
I don't mind as long as we can play the Coldplay song. They were all yellow. I don't know Russian. Does anybody know Russian here? No? Okay. I'm gonna say hello. I wish I could say it in Russian. So, but hey, we got somebody from Russia just tuned in. That could be KGB. So hey, another alphabet gang joining us. But no. Don't worry. Okay, I'll bring that up now.
Joining.
Oh, thank you. There you go. I'll bring that up. Oops.
Sweet. All right. Okay. So this is the presentation that Paul was talking about.
Yeah,
earlier, the American guy.
Yeah.
I can't remember what his name is, but he's talking about Billy Meyer and the.
Who was that again, Paul?
Randolph Winters is his name. He investigated the Maya case.
Yeah, that's it. Let's go for it.
Yeah, this is about.
I didn't know these were on here. These are some of the Miami pictures. Some of the ones that I didn't put on the tape.
Sorry, I can't put it up full screen.
Go through them here. Here's the kid in Miami. His name is Manny Escondon, is his real name. He's taking notes. Here, these discs came in. His girlfriend took the pictures.
Could you pause that?
Flat-bottom discs. They're made on Earth. They're called Vril disc. VR.
Yeah, I can put it on big screen if it's. So he took pictures of these discs flying in a V formation.
Yeah, the Haunabu. This is the German flying saucers we're talking about here. This is what he's taken. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to interrupt.
They're manufactured down in Brazil. They also have a factory down by in New Schwabenland in Antarctica. There's another picture. There's a news copter came in. Look at the first three discs. When they see the copter, they start to turn invisible or put their shields up. And the first three crafts that go out in a series are just becoming invisible when you snap the picture. It was taken with a Polaroid at a 30th of a second, so it caught it right in the minute of going out there. These discs were designed by German technology in the late 40s. The first ones we know of that were tested out were probably around 47 or 48. They're called Vril levitation devices. As you can see, they actually fly quite well. Notice the nice V formation.
He said.
Being typical bound Air Force pilots, they're still flying in formation. We understand this technology a little bit because intelligence has shot down some of their ships, learned how they're doing it. And when you hear rumors about how the Americans are building flying discs, what we're doing is playing catch up to the German technology that's been around since the 40s. Their technology has accelerated tremendously. They make two different types of levitation devices. That's what we're doing out in Area 51. We manufacture the devices in
Pause.
San
Can you
Diego,
pause?
put together by General Electric. We test them at Area 51. Here's the German disc.
You see, this is exactly the same as the one with the cannon on the bottom.
Yeah, the Haunebu 1 or 2, yeah, with the Panther turret underneath it. Yeah.
This one looks exactly like, and later on you see the Adamski type. You see the Haunebu 2 later on in this video. This is and this is why I give this credibility, because he has both of them featured in his on his photos, and to fake this all, yeah, it's a very strange case, and it's another source than yeah, from the German Norbert Rathofer and so on. So it's and could he have known these videos or pictures from Rathofer?
Hmm. Is that did you say Haushofer? Karl
Hey,
Haushofer.
no, the one from the German documentary and the books you mentioned earlier, the where these rare drawings are seen. This documentary, the Third Reich
Oh,
Strikes Back.
yeah, Rathofer, Norbert Jorgen Rathofer. Yeah, yeah.
How likely is it that this kid in Florida has knowledge of this information? It was pre-internet. There was no internet, so yeah.
Yeah, because is this early 90s, Paul? Is this, if I remember,
90s.
this specific-
The video from Winters where this is shown is 98. So this must be
98.
early 90s.
Oh, did
So
you say 98? This
sorry?
did you say this this presentation here is from 98?
The video, the lecture on Winters on Maya is from 98, I believe.
Okay,
So
98. Okay.
this photo album must be from before 98. And
Sure.
there was no internet at the time, so he couldn't. Yeah, where did he get the information if he would have copied it from the German sources? It's very unlikely.
Yeah. Because what came first? Was it the blueprints or was it the actual? I say the blueprints of the Vril 1 and 2 and 3 and the Haunebu 1, 2 and 3. But the photographs, was that separate or did it all came out at one go?
I believe it came mostly at one go, but the Adamski type, the Haunebu 2, was already refuted in those times because Adamski was a fraud. Why would he use an UFO that was already debunked?
Yeah, I see what you're
And,
saying.
and he shows here this Haunebu 1, and he shows the Haunebu 2 in his photos. And there is a third type, an unknown, what he shows.
Yeah, there's I'll continue. I've got a few minutes left. Just
Parked down on the ground in a facility down in Brazil. There's 4 guys standing next to it down there. There's a whole row of them. He couldn't count how many were down there. He had his Polaroid with him and grabbed a few short shots there. Over here's 2 guys here on a craft coming in. You can see the 2 guys standing here.
I'll try and get the longer version of it. But yeah, that's the basic.
I have in my playlist. I have the full German section cut out. It's 9 minutes or so.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm going to try and have a little look for this. But yeah,
I have a playlist on my channel with called UFOs, and there is also the Third Reich Strikes Back documentary, and this full version of this video, and yeah, some other excerpts that are related to this topic. So.
oh, that's amazing, man. I mean, if I want to expand my research, trying to find at least some sort of evidence of these blueprints, photographs, to prove to myself to say, right, okay, there's some validity to it, because the internet, okay, these are grainy photographs, like I presented in the last presentation. It's like, it's not authentic, but again, I'm not ruling out that the Germans would develop something absolutely fantastic, like, you know, Haunebu flying saucers and anti-gravity. But where can I go from here? I mean, who can I mean, Norbert Jorgen Rathofer and Ralph Ettel, those two apparently, according to a book I read, these two people actually brought out the information, but they came out in the 90s though, with the documentaries and the Vril project. But if those blueprints came out in the late 80s from that secret society we were talking about, how do I find that secret society or any members? Is going to be a tricky one, because I can't find any information.
There's the saying, those that know don't speak, and those that know, they speak.
That's it. Yeah, I've heard that quote. Those who know don't. Yeah. I think it's a mystery that's never going to be solved, but nevertheless, it's a fascinating subject.
It's going to be solved, but then it's going to be a big bang. That's what I think. It's going to be solved.
I think so. Moving off from Haunebu for the moment, Foo Fighters. Now, I mentioned about them being the radar plasma balls that were projected. Now, have you heard about the story of them being probes back in the in the 50s from the FBI documents that I sort of presented? Because there was some sort of stories that these were German technology to down military aircraft, whether or not there's any validity to it. But yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's very likely, and maybe that they were experimenting with radio control, smaller, sources as well.
This is interesting. This is a story that I've heard, is that there was this German pilot who was doing these runs. He would bring off equipment to other airfields and stuff. And he landed in the airfield, so I think it was at Hamburg somewhere. And he was told to land the plane, park up, wait until further instructions. So he's waiting, and then nothing's happening. So he thought, right, that's it. I'm getting out. And he walks over to this big open warehouse. He said it was absolutely massive. And said when he walked in, he saw these tiny, small, turtle-shaped devices that were on top of tripods, and these were like massive flying saucers. These were probably about 5 foot long, circular discs. You know, they're very, very small things. And he sort of, obviously, someone clocked him and said, "Look, get out of here because it's a secret location," and had his life threatened and stuff like that. But he told the stories years later. Now that's interesting, you know, because he's found these small devices, and apparently this is what these Foo Fighters were. They looked like tortoise shells, according to some German books. And these were, tortoise shell devices. And then, I mean, the idea, instead of actually shooting down the aircraft, the bombing raids that the British and Americans were doing, they'll actually send these probes up, and it had a specific fuel mixture inside. So when it reached to a certain altitude of 25,000 feet, it will actually glow a certain color, red, orange, green. But what I disprove about the theory that these were possibly radar plasma balls, you know, to track military aircraft, is that the pilots were saying that these were silver disc-shaped from the ground, and as they rose up, they started to turn a color, like glow. But these had glowing tails. So yeah, like Mario Kart. So I understand what Professor Simon was saying in regards of that radar technology, but when you look at the reports that the Fifth Army Squadron was noticing, these were disc-shaped craft, very small, and as they got to a certain level, because they came from the ground up, so it says it must come from an airfield somewhere. So I'm not dismantling the idea that these were experimental probes.
So you don't think that Professor Simon's debunk is solid?
Okay, I'm going to show you a classic Foo Fighter photograph. Okay, and this proves to me that it can actually this probe is actually breaking the sound barrier because there's stories that these probes can go up to 1,000 miles an hour. And yeah, you know,
You're
have you
hitting a bit
seen?
hard, ain't you?
Yeah, mate. Sorry.
You're making me jealous,
have you seen
man.
it? Oh, I miss you, man. I miss you having a spoke with me. But have you seen the these jets that travel through the speed of sound? And once it hits the sound barrier, it creates like a halo
Yeah.
ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what this is doing. Look, have a look at it. It's a probe and it's breaking the bloody sound barrier. Look, you've got an object in the middle
Yeah.
and it's clearly traveling at speed. And this is what's happening. Now, this doesn't look like a plasma ball to me. I mean, there's some photographs that look like a plasma ball, but remember, Hidden, that I showed you the one with the glowing tail behind it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I wasn't too sure about it.
Yeah.
But now that you're presenting it like that could possibly be a picture of it breaking a sound barrier. Indeed.
Yeah. It's such a big glow, and obviously, if it was a plasma ball, it would be a solid object. It would be a solid entity, I should say. But this is something in the middle here. I think this is a probe breaking the sound barrier. Okay, it's grainy, but this is what I believe it is personally. So I'm not ruling out that these, at least they experimented with probes to down the aircraft.
Well, but how come we're not even going to consider that they could be something of an extraterrestrial nature?
Yeah, but that's the History Channel, mate.
No. Oh, see, well, I'm in that kind of bracket though, ain't I? So I still like to understand, because as many of us theorize that when there's wars and conflicts, these, whatever you want to call them, extra dimensionals, aliens, they get really interested in what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, it could possibly be extraterrestrial. Let me just bring up this up.
But
Is that photograph?
Just remember, I'm one of those, though. I'm a pseudoscientist that really has no qualifications. That's why I dare not call myself a ufologist, because I didn't go to school and get my degree like the rest of them, apparently.
Mate, anybody in the UFO community calls themselves a ufologist doesn't really have a degree, mate. Trust me.
I know.
I won't worry, mate. It's a
I'm being sarcastic.
thing.
Sorry. It's like my favorite one is. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No. Go ahead, mate. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say my favorite one with ufologists is when they always have their like pictures taken. They always got a camera around them. Like, if that's what they really do, they go out and they study these things.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
So this is a classic Foo Fighter. I think it's probably one of the best photographs of a Foo Fighter. Let me just zoom out and just show you. So this was taken in 1943 over Germany. Obviously, you've got the propellers here. And here's the dot. And what I don't quite get is either this is a trail from the Foo Fighter, or is it part of the plane or the landscape? Is it tricky one?
That's what we were saying the last time.
Yeah. But if this was a glowing tail, which a lot of the 10th Army Squadron reported, these Foo Fighters would have a glowing tail, that will be at least a bit more lighter coming into the end here. So who knows? But it's nevertheless, it's a fascinating photograph. But the thing is, there's photographs of these Foo Fighters. This is the thing, you know, not like today when we get bloody Tic Tacs and it's bloody blurry. Oh yeah, okay, admittedly, that some, you know, Foo Fighter photographs are blurry, but this one's pretty bloody good. 1940.
Yeah.
So I think we zoom in a bit more. Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it?
It is a bit tricky.
Very hard to take.
But there does seem to be a light tail coming off of it towards the side. If I'm looking at that right.
Yeah.
But then could that be
Have you
camera processing?
Have you tried to watch it in negative?
Yeah.
I have no idea to do that. I have no idea to do that, Paul. I have no idea.
If you go into your
Oh, don't ask me, man. I'm not.
See the pen there. See the top icon. Go to
Oh,
the
that?
top. Yeah, yeah. Click on that, and it's not doing nothing, is it?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Go to the that one there. Right. Yeah. Click on that. No, the other one, the brush. The other one, the brush.
Yeah.
Then you should be able to get it from there. She might be a bit further down.
What's it called again?
Negative. It might be down there.
Oh, hold on a minute. No, I've got vintage, film, burn. I got enhanced. I can enhance it to see.
Oh, that spotted it up.
Right, I'm going to save that. Let's have a little look at that instead. That's a bit better.
Oh, look at that, man. That's glowing.
That's a big glow, isn't it?
Now it looks more like it's on the ground, what you see. That's part of the terrain.
Yeah, it could be. Because I've just spotted something. There is another...
Yeah, over there, yeah.
Yeah,
I saw that when you first put it, and I was going to say, what could that be? Yeah.
Zoom into that one.
When these are from the Americans, do we know where they were flying over?
No, this just says is 1943 Germany. It could be anywhere, to be honest. I mean, they found these Foo Fighters everywhere over Germany.
Were they? So, Paul, could I ask you? During World War II in Germany, were they doing like what we were doing in England, like turning off the powers and everything?
Yeah. Even in occupied countries, they had to darken everything, so there was no light visible at night.
Ground, because that would have been a target, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So
it's more mysteries with that picture, because that's what I'm thinking. That shouldn't be a light emanating from the ground if these are taken from pilots, because that's the first thing they're going to say. Look, that's red hot. Let's bomb it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's activity. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as the fact that he must have taken that photograph for a reason. He must have saw this object. It's like, what the bloody hell is that? And took it. But he didn't take it like straight on, but nevertheless, it's still pretty good. Yeah, it just says taken by Allied crewmen in Germany, 1943. But it's a good photograph.
It is.
And did you know that shortly after the war in 45, 46, there were a lot of sightings in Scandinavia. They called them ghost rockets. You look on
yeah.
So,
I've seen that, Paul. Could you explain what ghost rockets is?
Yeah, they saw lights at the sky, and sometimes with a tail, like a rocket ship, but they couldn't see any real objects, as far as I know. I've read testimonies about it. Yeah, there's some pictures. Stuff like that. And they were most of the time they would come from the south and go to north, from north to south, south to north.
I guess
south to north. Right,
yeah,
let me
so this was a
let me get you off, because I know you don't like being on big screen.
Makes me nervous. Yeah, this is a ghost rocket taken in the skies over Sweden in 1946. Yeah.
And then in 47, all hell broke loose with Roswell, which is the alien fabricated to hide that it was a German, or was it really alien?
What's your thoughts on that, Paul? I'm really interested to see, because I know Joseph P. Farrell says that whatever crashed in Roswell was actually German.
Something happened. Yeah, there is also a book with that those aliens were genetic modified children and blah blah blah. But
Yeah, I've heard
there
stories
there
about
are
that.
so many stories around Roswell. I know. Yeah, there is something happened there. There crashed something. But if alien or German or even possible experimental from the Americans themselves, it's it's hard to say. It's something did happen, but yeah, what that
This is it. Yeah, I think the new theory that it could possibly be German kind of indicates, because a lot of the scientists actually went into from Germany, the technicians, I would say, who built the aerospace craft for the Germans, went into, I think it was Texas, I'm not too sure, around that area where where the Roswell crash was. And there is a document that is produced, and it actually states that whatever crashed at Roswell, it wasn't too sure what it is, but we need to get these German scientists to have a look at it. And it actually says it in this document in 1947 from Roswell, which gets glossed over, really. So it's mentioned, but we need to get these German scientists to discover this aircraft, because it mentions the word aircraft that potentially might be German. So who knows, man? Who knows? But it's an interesting theory, you know. But if we're saying, look, the Germans did have these Hannibal flying saucers, then we have to say, look, we're dealing with a breakaway civilization from that point, because the amount of submarines that went away. I mean, it's just a matter of Germans literally got away. It's unbelievable. So a civilization somewhere else.
and also notable, Roswell was the only base where atomic bombs were stationed at that moment.
Yes, it's true.
So they could have wanted to have a nice little look-see.
So it's a point of interest for the Germans, not for aliens. And that's what you see in ufology. In many cases, their interest for military facilities, switching off nuclear bombs and stuff like that. It's a cat and mouse game with, and aliens wouldn't do that. I tend more think those are the Germans playing cat and mouse with the Americans.
So the alien is almost like a cover story, in a way, to sort of hide the fact that.
And history tells us also there has been visits from other planets. I really think that happens too, but it's and it's this, it's that, it's also that. So you have people from distant planets, but also from other dimensions, and you have the Germans. It's
Z Germans.
You Germans.
You are not alone.
Yeah. Do you know what? Because you mentioned about Benny and Barney Hill. And I'm a bit funny when it comes to like abduction, because honestly, Paul, I haven't really looked into it. And I'm not going to poo-poo the idea. You know, I don't want to be that sort of person. I will be open-minded. But the fact that they saw, you know, not Mr. Mustachio, but Mr. N-word, I was just like, hey, what the hell? Like, actually goes in detail, you know, the costume, the uniform and everything. And you're thinking, it possibly be either sleep regression or something like that, or some sort of trauma. But the fact they went into detail, and even when you listen to the tapes of the regression, is he's crying. This is Barney we're talking about here. He's really emotional, and it's quite fascinating. Like this something definitely did happen, you know, something traumatic. But the fact that he saw, you know, Mr. N in the uniform is like, okay, what's going on here? It's just unusual, isn't it?
And also for him to come out, him and his missus to come out about their story
at
the time in America, to be the couple that they were.
And
I don't want to go into that too much, but they would have faced a hell of a lot of stuff. Just not what they were saying, but because of who they were. So would it be risking to tell a lie?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to get at? That's why they're more credible
Yeah.
in what they're saying, because they
Mm.
put themselves quite at risk.
Yeah.
Because you know, at that time, what was going on. But here, that's me.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
feel I got to talk every 5 minutes, or else you think I'm asleep.
No, no, you're good, Hidden. You're good, Hidden.
I'm messing.
Yeah. It's a definitely fascinating subject. I mean, I'll be looking to the Betty and Barney Hill case a bit more to see about what will be inside the craft, whether or not it looks a bit like man-made structure. I mean, have you heard any stories what it looked like inside the Haunaboo? Paul, I mean, any descriptions?
Look into the Adamski case. Some of those details. Yeah, I think it's 100% German. He met Germans and made up this story of Venusians to
Or
because
could that have been of what he was told?
it could be also, but Adamski went on tour. He also met the Dutch Queen, and they talked private for several hours, which is also very interesting, because the Queen from that time was into the esoteric paranormal stuff, and so there was later on a scandal because she had a truth sayer with her, and she was guiding her, the Queen, and stuff like that. So it's I think, yeah, it was German, because the Dutch royals have a double role in the war also. First they cheered when the man with the mustache came into power, and later on they switched to England.
Yeah, because apparently wasn't England on German side before? I think it was something to do with the royals. They were actually like friends with Hitler,
Mhm.
something like that, or
Now you
with
can-
the.
Now you're getting the
yeah.
MI5 in on us.
Oh god, did I say they hate? The man with the mustachio, I should say. There you go. Sorry.
Oh no, don't
But
worry.
but there was honestly, I know there was some involvement with that, with the
Mhm.
definitely with the royal family.
Because Prince Bernhard also wrote a letter to Mr. Mustache, and he asked if he could be the leader of the Netherlands. If
I see. Because what I found out recently is when I was in school, this is a true story, Paul. When I was in school, when we learned about World War, we learned about the fact that the Germans invaded because they wanted to take over England. That's what I was taught, right?
that's why they invaded the Netherlands, what I was taught. But later I learned that here in the Netherlands, they learned the Netherlands was a neutral country. They didn't pick sides, but there was an incident when there was the British Secret Service wanted to infiltrate in Germany to bring down the man with the mustache. And they got help from the Dutch Secret Service. And there was an incident at the border where those two intelligence officers from the British were captured, and the Dutch intelligence was shot dead.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, so
this is
the Netherlands violated their neutrality, so they weren't neutral, and that's why Mr. Mustache in the end invaded. Well, because they were scared that if Netherlands would help England to prepare the invasion of Germany, because they wouldn't have to like D-Day happened, because they couldn't prepare on land. They had to attack the Germans overseas. And if Holland was, because of that, was Holland occupied by the Germans.
I see. Because in terms of the English side, is that the Germans struck first. Oh no, the Germans invaded first. And as I'm like reading through history, it's like, hold on a minute. No, the English was bombing Germany months before the Blitz, as we call it in England, you know, and I realized like potentially the whole bombing of England could have been avoided to a certain degree. Yeah, it's just astounding. Like you're told one side of history when you really like with school, you learn like little bits and pieces, but when you look at the whole story, you go, oh, actually, hold on, this is absolutely different. You know,
nobody knows that Germany offered 50 peace treaties to England.
Yes, I know. Yeah, that's something to do with Rudolf Hess, isn't it? Because Rudolf Hess actually flew to England.
Yeah.
It was to do with the peace treaty. Was it the peace treaty he was trying to exchange?
Yeah. That's the last attempt to get peace with the British, and he was jailed, and in the end he was murdered.
Yes.
They say he hanged himself, but the court was sideways, not from behind. So
that's really interesting, because there's a researcher called Joseph P. Farrell who writes a lot of books about breakaway civilizations. He's done 2 books on the Bell Project, but he's talking about this subject as well. Which is absolutely fascinating. But yeah, definitely check out Joseph P. Farrell. He's absolutely immense. When it comes to
side note to Rudolf Hess, in his cell, he had gigantic maps of the moon on his wall.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Because. Yeah, it's with Rudolf Hess. I've been hearing stories that the fact that he flew to England because he wanted to make a peace deal. Like, he actually had a peace treaty to say, look, okay, let's stop this between Germany and England. And when he landed in, I think it was in Scotland, he demanded to see Winston Churchill, and he was actually denied access.
Yes.
And he was just banged up in a prison. And he had a fucking peace treaty deal to stop World War II against England. This is a true story. This is actual history. But you're not taught that in schools. And this is in 1942, isn't it? Is it 42, Paul?
41.
I think. 41, yeah. And Germany was still bombing us, until 44, end of 44.
There's a German documentary about it, and they also tell you what part of the plans were, and one of those offers was to retreat from Belgium and the Netherlands and pay up for all the damage they did in those countries. They offered that to England, but Churchill wanted war.
Yes, that's what I found out. Yeah, as soon as Churchill got in, he wanted war, but in England, Paul, he's propped up like this war hero and this heroic guy. And in fact, my nan, who is still alive today, she's 87, so she was alive when the Blitz happened. The Blitz happened where I live in the southwest, because we were building ammunition, so the Luftwaffe was doing their rounds. So my nan lived through that, and she told me personally, it says, when Churchill came to visit I'm not disclosing where I live, but in the southwest, fucking people hated him. It says, what the hell have you done? You literally destroyed our country. You killed thousands of people. This whole thing could have been avoided. And that's what my nan witnessed as a 6-year-old kid. People hated Churchill, and you just didn't know about that back in the day. But it's crazy stuff like that you hear, man.
Side note on Churchill, I lived in Germany in Waalbeck, a small village. And I lived in the house where Churchill slept a couple of nights during the war. And he met there with Henry and Eisenhower to make plans. And I lived in that house.
Oh, man.
No way. That is fucking incredible.
Did you ever consider getting a Ouija board and contacting them? Or... I'm not joking. Wow. This is one time I'm not joking and everybody's laughing.
Oh, that's crazy, man.
That is cool. That is pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's,
man.
Would you have like scraped the wallpapers off and stuff? Because some of these guys, they like to write on the walls and stuff, see if there was anything there.
I lived there from 95 to 97. I lived there.
So probably the
But the house
person
is still
before you had
there.
that idea.
There's a little photo and a little text on the side of the house. It's an official monument.
Wow, that's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah. I guarantee there's some big like swastika like behind some wallpaper on a wall somewhere. I guarantee. Churchill was here.
Also, speaking of Churchill, all donations are appreciated to the Hidden Underbelly. We're gathering money to buy me a joint. So there we go.
Oh, Hidden. Oh. So yeah, it's this yeah, where we're going to go from here, really. It's, I mean, what I like to do, what my aim is from here, Paul, as I'm fascinated by this subject, I really am, and I'm not going to stop continuing to like stop research. I know there's plenty other books, like German books, I need to collect on this subject. I'm pretty sure it's like the same stories because I understand the basic framework, the foundations of the conspiracy dating back from the end of the war to where we are now. So when it comes to like anti-gravity, I've really like flip-flopped because it's just the lack of evidence, and a lot of researchers who have researched into the German flying saucers always say, oh yeah, this is just fake, you know, there's a lot of faking going on, which I'm not denying that there is, but there's some sort of there's some sort of like liquor truth, you know, it's just that little bit of truth. You go, well, okay, yeah, but this, you know, like the CIA documents that suggest, you know, that the guy, the Polish prisoner of war who saw the anti-gravity flying saucer fly over, you know, yeah, okay, these are claims, but why did he come forward? Why did?
Yeah. There's. I think there is some truth to it. So the details, okay, but there are things that are facts, and if you take all those circumstantial evidence, all these pieces of circumstantial evidence, you still have a case. There are people sent to jail based on circumstantial evidence. So I think we have a case. That's
Okay.
Could I ask a question? Do you guys feel that there was a leap in the German technology after they visited Antarctica?
There might, but I think they already found it out by going to India, to Tibet, to South America, to Egypt. I think there they found it out. They found out. Maybe they found some ancient technology which they copied because the traces of an ancient civilization on this planet that was far more advanced than we are, that's undeniable.
So then going back to what was, I believe Nick said, and you agreed, was there was some quote where they said that they got help from somewhere else or something else. What was the quote again?
From Carl Dönitz, that remark. That could be also pointing to the ancient, and they found something, found a way to,
It's interesting because
could this? Oh, sorry.
No.
Could this all tie into, like, say, the Hollow Earth? Because I know we touched on Bird, but didn't Bird also say he came in contact with and wasn't he warned off?
Yeah. He was taken by them. His diary, but his diary is questionable. We don't know if it's his real diary. But he was taken by saucers with swastikas. He was taken to a leader. He was warned from, hey, stop with this nuclear bombing and stuff like that, and world peace, blah blah blah. and then he was sent back with that message. And
So
the fact is, Bird was missing for several hours alone.
I got to rewind that now. Did you say he was taken by? They had swastika symbols. Did I hear that correct?
He lost control of his plane. He describes he was accompanied by 2 UFOs with swastikas, and they took him to a place where it was warm and animals and trees and grass, and he was given a drink, something so good he never tasted before, and then he was taken to a leader and he got his warning, and that was then supposedly also the abrupt end of Operation Highjump. That's what the diary is about.
Because you know, can you guys remember the story about when the Russians went out there and they said they came across this strange creature that was almost telepathic?
Mm-hmm.
No, I haven't heard of that, Hayden.
You know the story, Paul?
Yeah, a little. But tell us.
My memory is very vague on these things. I think they kind of equated it to some. The best way they described it was some sort of intelligent octopus that it looked at them and it like hypnotized them. It made them like stop dead in their tracks. But I think it killed could it be about 3 of them it killed?
I don't recall that. No. I've read so many UFO stories, personal accounts from people. There are the strangest things, but yeah, it's always hard to say.
I'm sorry because I can't. I get bits of these informations and some of them store into. Let me see if I can find it while you guys talk. Leave me alone. I'll be quiet.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, going back to Antarctica, it's in terms of the base, I mean, I know the British and there's actual treaty, isn't there? By all the
1956, they made a treaty to protect the environment, and environment was at that time.
Yeah, and at the same time launching nuclear bombs over there. So I'm like, yeah, okay. Protect the penguins, Paul. Protect the penguins. Yeah, I know when I hear people that debunk that the fact there's something fishy going on in Antarctica. One of the theories that no one can actually go there. Now you can go there on a trip, but it's only to a certain section where you can actually see the penguins, and that's it. You cannot go past this line, and apparently there's security guards there. There's actually a massive army force. That's saying something, man. I mean, that's not protecting the penguins, or saving the planet. That's like, no, you're obviously hiding something, but it's like a joint treaty. Even because Russia's there as well. They're not going to kick Russia out, and I think Russia has more territory than the British and the Americans, I believe.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but yeah, it's what you say. Those trips, it's just the northern part of Antarctica, the tip. That there you go. You can cost you a lot of money. I looked for it, but for a trip like that, but it's not interesting if you really want to explore the continent. You have to go by yourself, and then you get military trouble. There's a movie, documentary. It's called Berserk in the Antarctica, and it's about a young kid who goes with a small sailboat, and he goes with 2 other guys. They want to sail to Antarctica, but he got in trouble afterward for going there. So
I see.
Okay.
Right.
You know that story that I was just telling you about, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was a 14 tentacle weaponized Voltok monster. It was discovered at that lake, that Voltok Lake Voltok. Am I saying it right?
Vostok, yeah.
Yeah, it was. They're saying that it was designed. It's called Organism 46B. That was the story.
I'm not too sure hidden on that one. I should bring the article up. So they saw like a prehistoric creature then.
Let me see if I just.
I have here fandom, monsterfandom.com.
I'm just going to Google the organism's name, and then we'll see what we get.
Yeah, if
I found fandom.
Old UFO literature, you get the most wackiest stories. Some of them are really, really crazy. So there's also this story of a family in a house in the woods, and they get attacked by some creatures for several hours.
Oh right. I've heard like dinosaurs and stuff like that. Some like really wacky stuff.
See, well, the one story that I always remember about the dinosaur ones. Now I know we're going off of World War II for a second here, but the one story that I always remember was these African villagers were saying that they were under some sort of attack by this creature they'd never seen before. So these scientists went out there to check it out, see what was going on, and they couldn't find anything except for some footprints. So they started showing them pictures of animals, and in these pictures were dinosaurs. And as soon as they saw
Triceratops or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. As soon as they saw a picture of that, they're saying that's it. That was it. But who knows? I don't know.
But more stories about dinosaurs being in swamps in Central Africa. I don't recall the source at the moment, but I've read about it. I've heard about it. That in some remote swamps there are still some dinosaurs left, supposedly. So
yeah, it's like the Loch Ness monster. You still hear like legends about that in Scotland. It's I reckon if you look how deep the ocean is and how far it goes, there's something like gigantic. I mean, there wasn't like this massive octopus that was discovered in China. Like this thing was absolutely massive, and this was like deep into the ocean. So who knows, man? Aliens might be down there with their bloody, or even the Germans.
it's rumored
definitely military base. Definitely
Germans.
military base though.
It's rumored there's a UFO base at the coast of California. There are heavily rumors that there is an undersea alien base.
I've heard
See, that I can more buy into.
There's
in fact, sorry, I tend to do buy into a base that's in the ocean.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you look at like the Euro tunnel system that we have from England to France, if they can do that, imagine what they can do like miles beneath the ocean. I mean,
There are lots of accounts of UFOs going into the sea and going out of the sea, also by military, by credible sources. So there is under the ocean, there is a lot of activity. But it seems if you have if you have a force field, an electromagnetic force field, you're partly interdimensional. So water is just like going through air. And that's what these USOs, as they call them, also exhibit, going as fast through the water as through the air.
Yeah.
With little no distortion.
Yeah, because that's one of the same things they say. They don't, when they're going into the water, they kind of like slide in. They don't make a splash.
Yeah.
They just go in.
it's claimed the you're in your own dimension when you're in a powered up UFO.
Is that when they're talking about this fourth dimension, or is that
Yeah,
am I
between
reaching?
and if the string theory is okay, now we get to quantum physics. If the string theory is correct, there are many dimensions,
Branches
and
off.
you can hover in between. Then it's what you call fourth dimension. Yeah.
Okay.
And what's interesting about that is, I don't know if you ever heard of Otis Carr experiments with the flying saucers in the 50s. He's an American engineer who built a flying saucer using magnets. And he says the only way you'd be able to control one of these crafts is by your consciously, not by actually knobs and buttons and stuff like that. It's actually through consciousness, your own I wouldn't say a telepathic communication, but some sort of connecting to the consciousness.
Similar to a Neuralink.
Refers to too, that you need this consciousness, this energy from to actually propel it. So it needs that.
Well, you could kind of see that heading. You can kind of see that heading. You know what's going. The technology of advances in possibly 20 years, because look what Elon Musk has pulled off with the Neuralink right now. He's got a guy playing computer games just using his mind.
Yeah.
So imagine the implications to that when we can start flying ships or driving our cars just using our minds. And you know, it's probably not even 20 years down the road, because now look at the Apple gadget.
Yeah, but that failed though, Hidden. That I think that's bombed, isn't it? You know, but it's going to be the next Ready Player One sort of style thing. That's going to be.
I'm going to say the reason, if it's bombed, the only reason why is because it's bulky. The moment they can get it down to being like like shades, not the goggles. The moment they can get it into a shade kind of routine, they've nailed it. Because to people walking around, they do look like idiots, don't they? I don't mean to call you names, man, because you know I'm probably a bit jealous because I can't afford that. but I don't think I would. But you know, fair play. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I like Apple saying, sorry.
No, it's technology like this now. It's just you're thinking how advanced it is. I mean, especially with AI and stuff like that. But when it comes to Neuralink, it's just taking it a step too far for me. It's like, how long are you be testing this device? Is there any inclinations to like brain damage or anything like that? Because you are putting electronic signals into the brain. You know, that must do some sort of damage at some point and long-term effects.
Well, this is the thing.
When they do perfect this, they're going to sell it to you. Oh, yes, but you can do this. You can do that with it. It can cure this. You can actually cure blindness, for instance. And they're going to sell it as a package. But how is that going to come at a cost? And who's going to switch it off? You know, because the thing's in your head, isn't it? I think it's actually like they take a piece of your skull out and they bloody insert this thing. And you've got all these like strands that go into your brain. I'd rather stay human, boys. I don't know about you, but it's just I want. Even if they do sell it to me as a package, like, oh, this is fantastic. You can watch, like, for instance, you can watch like a football game at home, but actually be in the stadium virtually and interact with everybody. Instead of actually watching on TV.
But it's still hardware. I think if you there are ways to guide things with your mind, what can be trained. We have a little of this capability. For instance, when you're standing with your back to people and someone is continuously looking at you, you sense he's looking at you.
Yes, that's true. That is so true.
How do you sense that? Train that. how to train that, and then you can do more with that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% with that. That we do, but then again, there's the theory about the fluorides damaging that kind of way of thinking. Have you heard about that? That he puts a coating on it.
Yeah, it stops the actual connections. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I mean, I would say I'm psychic, but even my mum would say this. As soon as someone walks into a room, I know exactly what that person is. Like the whole vibe of the person. I don't have to shake hands. I just have to be in the room. Now, my girlfriend had someone come over. I've never met him before. So I never met her before. And so she came to the front door. And as soon as she came in, I was like, "Oh, there's something about you. I don't know what it is." I was like, I shook hands. I'm like, "Nice to meet you," and all that. But I'm like, "There's something about you." And yeah, Nikki said, "Yeah, I couldn't stop speaking to her." Really, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not fucking surprised," because I mean, before I even shook hands with her, I just knew like something wasn't right. I just get the vibe of the person. It's a very, very strange thing.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, Bloody Mary. Yeah,
I couldn't help it. You set me up for a joke.
But it's great. I don't know if you ever guys got that. You sense the feeling in the room. Just the vibe just changes.
I sense a lot when driving. I sense a lot. I predict how people are going to behave. Last week, a biker tried to overtake me, and before he was overtaking me, I said he's on a suicide mission. And he overtook me, and he couldn't get the next turn, and he slid on the curves. He almost killed himself right in front of a graveyard. Sense, yeah, you sense there is a third sense, but we are learned not to use it in this society.
I used to use it. Used to use that a lot. You had to have to the kind of life I lived when I was younger. You had to weigh up people, because people would come at you and they would smile and laugh with you, and the moment your back's turned, they're putting something in it.
Yeah.
So you had to know what people they.
Yeah.
So I had a good little sense about that. Like I'll give you an example. There was a guy I used to work with, and I didn't like him. And I'm going to say that straight. I didn't like him. And I always thought something about him, and there was a particular thing that I always thought about him. Many years later, I bumped into one of my old work colleagues down the road, and they said, "Oh, did you hear about this guy?" I'll still remember his name. And I said, straight away, I said, "Who did he rape?" And that was it. Told me the whole story. And they said, "Why were you like that?" And I said, "Oh, every time I looked at him, I thought he was that kind of person."
Yeah. Sometimes you just know.
Yeah. It's like a. It's fine hidden. It's all good. You didn't go into like name dropping or anything like that. But I understand what you're coming from, man. He's just like, there's just some people you're like,
you just look at him and could see his life, who he is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he was a creep. I ain't gonna say he was a creep. I'm not gonna say he was a creep. I'm just gonna say we say, this is how we say our spirits don't like each other. That's how we say it. Like what you're saying, the moment somebody comes in the room and you get this bad vibe, bad juju, we say, my soul don't take to this person. And that's how it was with this guy. My soul never took to him. My spirit never took to him. I didn't like being around him. I didn't like him being around me. And lucky enough, where I worked was, at the back. I worked with this really cool guy there, and all we used to do was sit in the back of his car and smoke weed. So
yeah. Yeah. I've got one personal story. This is all like in the news and all that, but my parents used to own a newsagents, like a family newsagents back in the 90s. I mean, you had this guy who used to come around the shop, used to buy newspapers. He eventually became used to like deliver papers for us. And there was something about him. I'm not going to name who he is. He's probably dead now, but he's this like elderly guy. And I was like, there's something about you. I don't know what it is. And every time we used to deliver newspapers to his flat, there'll be this like real odd smell. The way I could describe it as a musty, damp smell.
Mm.
And then it was years later, we sold the shop, and it turned out that guy, his mate died in the flat that he lived in where I was delivering papers, but he didn't report the body for 10 years.
Cashing his benefits.
He was hidden. That's it. He was cashing his friend's benefit, but his fucking friend was literally decomposing in his flat for 10 years, and that's what I was smelling. But that guy had such a vibe. I was like, there's something about you. I don't know what it is. You're hiding something. And you just like, and I was young, man. I was like, I wasn't barely a teenager at that point, but I was like, yeah, there's something about that. But yeah, imagine just, yeah, apparently he was evicted and the fucking cleaners were cleaning his flat. He hid the body in between the sofas. And as they peeled the sofa back, apparently the skeleton was still upright.
I remember this story. I remember this story.
Yeah.
It was in the papers, wasn't it?
It's in the papers. Yeah. I know the guy. Yeah, we knew the guy personally. Yeah, he was in the papers. But yeah.
It was about a few years back, wasn't it, when they found the body?
It was a few years back. Yeah. If you Google it, man hides body.
Now I'm Googling it.
Flat. Yeah, man hides body for 10 years in flat. You will see it. But yeah, man, I would never forget the smell. Even my mum would say, it smells like death in here. Like literally. But yeah, it was all over the news about about 10 years ago, I think. But yeah, true story. But yeah, you get these excuse me, these major vibe checks from people. You know, I've met people in the street. I'm like, whether or not you're fucking human or not, I don't know. Not going off the reptilian shit. But you found it hidden.
Was his first name Alan?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I found it.
Alan, that's him. You found.
I'm not going to bring it up because it might give away your location.
Yeah. This is it. Well, I don't live in that place anymore anyway. So, but no, that's a true story.
Where he lived with dead body for 10 years.
Yeah.
Forgetting to call the police. But I'm cashing in his benefits.
Yeah. That's true story. Yeah.
That's nearly as bad as that. I believe she was a Brazilian woman. Have you guys seen this story that's been going around for the last couple of weeks? She rolled in a dead uncle. She put put a dead uncle in the wheelchair, rolled him into the bank, and tried to get him to sign for a loan. Oh, it's beggars belief.
Oh my god! Oh, that is hilarious. Oh dear, you can't make it up.
I actually had the footage, and I was contemplating putting it up, but as you know, YouTube has a thing about dead people, and obviously the guy was dead in a wheelchair. I mean, in the footage, you can see her lifting his head up, and I think I don't know what she was saying, but to me, it looks like she's saying, "No, he's just napping." He can sign for the loan.
Oh, bloody hell, man. And that's desperate. That's desperado. Oh, man.
Oh. So, where we at? Anything else? Any questions for our two lovely chaps that have turned up tonight to have a talk? And remember, it's also, the conversation is also continuing on this topic over at Alien Addicts, where what are we talking about?
We are talking about real and time travel. We're going to grab up like all the time travel photos, you know, the one with the mobile phones from like the 1920s and stuff like that. It's just like a fun episode. So I'll be talking about real and how it kind of links to like time travel and all that. about the Ville project and all that. So yeah, it'll be
I'll
a
post
good
the
time.
link. Yeah. So as you know, I'm dry. So guys, if you want to help me out, so I can join in the smoke over at Ollie's channel. But if I can't, I can't. Here, let me get the link for Ollie's show.
But yeah, thank you, Paul, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. You've actually made my life a bit more easier. I mean, I had my presentation, excuse me, to deal with. But it's good to get your perspective because you're in a different country where the legend was born, really, back in Germany. So yeah, thanks for coming on. It's an absolute pleasure. And what I want to do is talk after the show. We'll exchange emails and we'll sort of exchange information and all that because I really want to find the source of these blueprints. I mean, I wouldn't mind traveling to Germany myself or wherever to find these blueprints to actually prove to myself that says, right, okay, Germans definitely did build something and that technology went somewhere. So yeah.
And don't worry, guys, if you forget the link, I will be posting on my channel. I'm sure Cosmic Twilight, Nick, will be posting it over on his channel, which is the Cosmic Twilight. And I hope Paul will be coming over to join us. It's not my show, or else I would invite you on. But
yeah, but definitely be watching if I have the time. So
yeah, who knows if Ollie's lurking around and he sees how the knowledge that you have, he might want to have you on as well. I don't know if he's got a full house though as well, neither.
Yeah.
Yes, the UK crew.
Yeah.
So have you guys got any questions? Because while we were talking, I did see a few questions, but because I didn't want to interrupt the flow of the conversation by. So if you got any questions, now's the time to ask because we're going to wind it down. So and again, to reiterate what Nick said, Paul, you've been amazing, man. And thank you for joining us.
it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Nick, we want to talk about Eva Braun.
Eva Braun, the
Eva, yeah. Well, he said Brown, so I did pronounce what he said.
Yeah, she was the mistress of Mustachio Man, Mr. Mustache, who allegedly died in a bunker with him, but no evidence whatsoever.
Wasn't she related to him?
Mate, I don't know.
Was she, Paul? Paul, somebody's asking if you could type in your channel, the link to your channel. Jeff is asking.
Just a moment.
He left off the D.
Yeah, it's this Eva Braun. A lot of people don't know her before the war. It's only after the war people started to notice her through like footage and photographs and stuff like that. But they both buggered off. I don't believe Hitler. Hitler had the Mustachio Man had ties all over Europe. He had the connections all over the place. So I mean, Hans Kammler, look at him. I think if you follow Hans Kammler, I think that's where Mustachio Man went. That's my opinion.
Okay. Well, I think here's where we it's come to its natural end, and it's a great chat, man. So
it's been awesome.
Yeah, so thank you, because you guys made the show. I kind of just sat back and did nothing. This would have been the ideal show for me to be smoking weed.
Yeah, I know, man.
And then when I got shows like when I got John on and I need to be on point, I'm getting stunned. But I am gonna bring up John, and I am gonna be John's coming back on again. He knows he's coming back on again, and I'm gonna be sober as a judge until the end, or probably still be sober. But anyways, again, guys, thank you for turning up. And there's not much more I can say, can I? You Jeff, the rest of you mods, you've done an outstanding job. CIA, thank you for tuning in. It's great to
Yes,
great to know that. It's great to know that someone's watching us. Hey, no, I'm playing. It's great to know that we're getting out there, And what more can I say other than see you tomorrow over at Alien Addicts? And
10 p.m.
10 p.m. That's right, 10 p.m. UK time, and it's always a giggle over there. I enjoy myself, sometimes a little too much. So that's it, and I'm gonna end the show. Will you guys hang on after the show and have a little chat? Okay, guys. Well, let's see if I can end this right. So here we go. And no. See, I ain't even stoned and I'm making these stupid mistakes. Okay, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you so much. If you did donate over on PayPal, I don't know. So thank you if you did. If you hadn't donated, don't worry about it. It's cool. Okay. Thank you very much. Say goodbye to everyone.
Bye. Take care, everyone. Bye.
All right. We're out of here.
All the best.